Hi, it's Nicole. One of my reading goals this year is to read Shakespeare's Contemporaries. I want to get a sense of what the theatre scene was like during that time. The first play I tried was The Duchess of Malfi by John Webster. If you watched Shakespeare in Love, the film, it actually features John Webster as a boy. In history, Webster was born about 15 years after Shakespeare. The Duchess of Malfi was written and performed around 1613. Shakespeare's last three plays, The Tempest, Henry VIII, and The Two Noble Kinsmen, were written about the same time. Unlike most of Shakespeare's plays, I had no idea what The Duchess of Malfi was about. Shakespeare's plays are so talked about that even if you don't read or watch them, you often can't help knowing the ending of a lot of them, and you can't even remember how. There are spoilers everywhere, which can be annoying. But I hadn't heard anyone talk about the Duchess before I watched it, which was a new experience for me. It was great. I had no expectations. I watched the filmed stage production in Globe's candlelit Wanamaker Playhouse. It's an excellent, intense, dark story. It worked perfectly in the small candlelit theatre. So, to not spoil the play for you, I will stop at Act 3. So briefly, the play begins as a love story when the Duchess marries beneath her class against her brother's wishes and ends as the brothers destroy everything, absolute everything. I loved many things about this play, but I'll focus on just one thing in this video, the Duchess as a character. I was surprised to see such a strong and three-dimensional female protagonist. I think even among Shakespeare's collection of tragic female protagonists, I don't know many that have shown so many aspects of their character. Possibly Cleopatra is the closest. So starting with Act 1 and the order Webster introduces the characters. The first two characters we see are Delio, a friend and confidant of Antonio, and Antonio, the Duchess' chief steward at this point, who later becomes her husband. We watch the first few scenes through their eyes as they stand in the background and give us a running commentary on other characters as they come on stage. So, the next to appear is Bosola, a man who does a lot of dirty work in the dark. He did years of hard labor by this point as the punishment for a notorious murder that was ordered by the cardinal. But strangely, Antonio considers him a good and valiant man. Then we see the cardinal, one of the Duchess' brothers, and Ferdinand, the other brother of the Duchess. Antonio does not have anything good to say about either of them, and we are introduced to the Duchess last, and Antonio is full of praise. But for their sister, the right noble Duchess, you never fixed your eye on three fair medals cast in one figure of so different temper. For her discourse, it is so full of rapture. You only will begin then to be sorry when she does end her speech, and wish, in wonder, she held it less vainglory to talk much than your penance to hear her. Whilst she speaks, she throws upon a man so sweet a look that you were able to raise one to a Galliard that lay in the dead palsy, and to dote on that sweet countenance. But in that look there speaketh so divine a countenance as cut off all lascivious and vain hope. Her days are practised in such noble virtue that sure her nights, nay, more, her very sleeps, are more in heaven than other ladies' shrifts. Let all sweet ladies break their flattering glasses and dress themselves in her. The Duchess was a beautiful young widow. The first priority on the brother's mind was that she didn't marry again. As soon as they left her alone, we immediately hear that their warnings were not against nothing. She did have someone in mind, and she would not obey her brothers. Shall this move me? If all my royal kindred lay in my way unto this marriage, I'd make them my low footsteps. And even now, even in this hate, as men in some great battles, by apprehending danger, have achieved almost impossible actions, I have heard soldiers say so. So I, through frights and threatenings, will attempt this dangerous venture. Let old wives report I winked and chose a husband. Cariola is her waiting gentlewoman. To thy no secrecy I have given up more than my life, my fame. She has made up her mind. She will not be persuaded by her brothers and submit to their wishes and orders. She knows it's going to be dangerous and impossibly difficult. She compares it to a battle. She knows it's going to be gossiped among old wives, and it might cost her reputation, not just because it's against the wishes of her brothers, but that she has chosen someone who's below her in rank. Antonio, a steward who manages her household. She has a strong will, and as we will see, she acts on her wishes. She immediately in the same scene proposes to Antonio and jokingly complains about having to do the proposing herself. The misery of us that are born great. We are forced to woo because none dare woo us. And as a tyrant doubles with his words and fearfully equivocate, so we are forced to express our violent passions in riddles and in dreams, and leave the path of simple virtue, which was never made to seem the thing it is not. Go brag, you have left me heartless. Mine is in your bosom. I hope 'twill multiply love there. You do tremble. Make not your heart so dead a piece of flesh to fear more than to love me. Sir, be confident. What is it distracts you? This is flesh and blood, sir. 'Tis not the figure cut in alabaster kneels at my husband's tomb. Awake, awake, man. I do here put off all vain ceremony, and only do appear to you a young widow that claims you for her husband. And like a widow, I use but half a blush in it. Antonio loves her, but because he is socially lower than her, and he is a very honest man and doesn't think himself worthy, and doesn't think of climbing the social ladder this way, very opposite to Malvolio, he can't believe this is happening. She has to encourage him. Do not tremble. Love me. Be confident. I am made of flesh and blood. I claim you for my husband. What a thing to say! She hasn't got anyone to do the matchmaking on her behalf. Her male relatives are all against it. So what of it? She will manage everything herself. From the proposal to the marriage ceremony, there and then, and off they go to bed. She has a strong will, and she's fiercely independent. Antonio is simple and kind. He might be a capable and faithful manager of the household, but he's quite helpless throughout the play, especially in emergencies. I imagine him as one of those who keeps every appointment in a diary and every expense in spreadsheets, and is terrible at coping with anything unexpected. The Duchess hides the fact that she is pregnant until she gives birth to a son. Her brothers hear about it and are not pleased, especially Ferdinand. He is mad with fury. My understanding is they don't know she is married. Ferdinand, in his frenzy, imagines her in the shameful act of sin. With whom? Harpley, perhaps. Harpley with some strong-thighed bargeman, or one of the woodyard that can quoit the sledge, meaning throw the hammer, or toss the bar, or else some lovely squire that carries coal up her privy lodgings. The cardinal's concern is their royal blood be tainted, but Ferdinand's reaction is really wild. The brief notes in the Norton Anthology mention incestuous desire, and the Globe production interprets it that way as well. Ferdinand does seem quite obsessed with his sister. Time passes. Ferdinand comes to the court where the Duchess lives. She has given birth to 2 more children by now. We now see a different aspect of her character. She is naive and trusting. She can't read people's true character, and that's very unwise and leads to deadly consequences. She mentions to Ferdinand a scandalous report touching her honor. He wouldn't even hear of it. I won't believe it. Even if it was true, I trust you to deal with it. He shuts down the conversation immediately, and she is satisfied. Oh, blessed comfort! This deadly air is purged. She believes that's it. Her brothers don't mind, and that is the end of her giving birth to 3 children without a husband. She doesn't know her brothers at all, and she will soon find out. Before the confrontation between Ferdinand and the Duchess, Webster cleverly shows us a calm and sweet domestic scene where the Duchess is getting ready for bed. The Duchess, Ferdinand, and Cariola, the waiting gentlewoman, have a most common and cozy conversation. "Bring me the casket hither, and the glass." "You get no lodging here tonight, my lord." "Indeed, I must persuade one." "Very good. I hope in time 'twill grow into a custom that noblemen shall come with cap and knee to purchase a night's lodging of their wives." "I must lie here." "Must? You are a lord of misrule." "Indeed, my rule is only in the night." "To what use will you put me?" "We'll sleep together." "Alas, what pleasure can 2 lovers find in sleep?" "My lord, I lie with her often, and I know she'll much disquiet you." "See, you are complained of." For she's the sprawlingest bedfellow. I love that word. There is a loving couple and a friendship with Cariola. The Duchess is still the one in charge. Antonio is socially inferior, and he's not the dominant one in marriage either. His rule is only in the night. But their conversation is light-hearted and tender. We don't see the ruling Duchess here. We see a woman in love and growing old. She says, "Does not the color of my hair begin to change? When I wax grey, I shall have all the court powder their hair with arras, to be like me." Webster shows us something good and beautiful, so he can tear it apart later on and shock us more effectively. Then Ferdinand gets into the Duchess' room with a stolen key, probably hoping to catch her with a strong-thighed bargeman in bed, but she's just combing her hair. He accuses her, and she says, "There's no shame. I am married, though not the type of man you choose. Since I'm married already, it's too late for you to do anything about it. Would you like to be introduced to my husband, and we can live in peace?" And he says, "No way, don't even dream of it. Whate'er thou art, thou hast enjoyed my sister, for I am sure thou hearest me. For thine own sake, let me not know thee. I came hither prepared to work thy discovery, yet I'm now persuaded it would beget such violent effects as would damn us both. I would not for 10 millions I had beheld thee. Therefore use all means I never may have knowledge of thy name. Enjoy thy lust still, and a wretched life, on that condition." His concern is not her good reputation, because he is not satisfied to know that she is married and her children are legitimate. He just can't bear the idea that someone enjoyed my sister. If he finds out who it is, he'll kill him. Ferdinand leaves her, and she immediately decides the next step within seconds. It's super intense. She is convinced that sooner or later Ferdinand would find out her husband is Antonio, and Antonio will be in mortal danger now she has seen how unreasonable and wild her brother is. She decides to send him away. Not only to send him away, but she makes up a charge against him, so to make the dismissal unsuspicious. That charge also explains why her brother left in such a state to Bosola and all who saw him. She reacts impossibly quickly and decisively. Imagine the stamina to raise the whole house in the middle of the night, to publicly accuse someone with a watertight lie minutes after the intense confrontation and death threats from her brother, and watch your husband leave on a long journey without saying goodbye. How strong a heart and mind it requires. I really admire her at that point. After everyone leaves, she asks Bossola's opinion on her steward, whom she just dismissed. Bossola is an extremely intelligent man. He sniffs something unusual about this, so he says, Antonio is the best steward you'll ever get. You are wrong to send him away. And many other nice things about him. Maybe the strain on her nerves is too much, or maybe she just loves hearing people praise her husband so openly, and she is proud of him. The Duchess abruptly confesses, "This good one that you speak of is my husband." Cariola is suspicious, but the Duchess is not at all. She believes him and tells him Antonio is her husband. That is her downfall. She loses one round of the game and it costs them all their lives. We are at Act 1 in 3 at this point, and I shall stop here and not spoil the ending for you. It's a fantastic story. If you are used to Shakespeare's kind of tragedy, Act 4 and 5 lean towards the shockingly gory end of the spectrum. Think Titus Andronicus. The candlelit theatre was superb for this play and worked to great effect. There was one scene where the whole theatre was plunged into pitch darkness and we could hear the actors talking and breathing, and I could really feel the panic and confusion. Then something really shocking was suddenly revealed in a tower of burning candles. It was fabulous. It was fabulous. Highly recommend. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next one.